Hi, guys. Welcome to the You Can Man show. You're probably wondering, what in the heck? I'm not hearing Josh's voice.
Yeah, I'm here, but we're not doing the intro.
Yeah. So Josh had his baby.
Well, my wife had our baby.
Yeah, well, okay. That's just small detail there, Josh. Yeah. Okay, small detail. And Dave's been crazy busy too. So we have never taken a week off.
No, not since we started.
Not since we started. And we're on episode now. This is 36.
Yeah.
Now, you may remember Josh said last episode was 36. It was actually 35. We're just all over the place. Babies, work, all kinds of stuff. So we're taking a little breather and we're going to do a replay of one of our really popular episodes with our friend James on New House Know-How part, what was it, 3?
It was I think his was part 3. Did he wrap it up?
I think so.
I can't remember. Anyway, it was episode 8. Feels like forever ago. But James is a great guest, and he had a new house at the time, new townhome.
And if you're just joining us and you're not the person that goes back and listens to all the episodes, which, who of us has all that time to do that?
Sure.
Some of you guys have, because we've heard from you guys that you're like, oh yeah, I went back and started from the beginning. And I'm like,
that's the right way to do it.
I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. Some of our earlier episodes were not that
great. You can hear the progression. That's fine.
Yeah. So anyhow, we're going to do a replay episode for this week, but don't you guys worry. We will be back with brand new material the following week. So here's that replay.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to the You Can Man podcast, episode 8. I'm Josh.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Dave.
And on this week's episode, New House Know-How, part 3.
All right, guys, welcome back. How was everybody's week? Actually, sorry, before we begin, we have a guest today, our very first guest. Not just some Skype guest, okay? We've got him in the studio with us.
He's
Mr.
live.
James Terrell.
What's up? In the flesh.
Welcome.
Yeah. So, James, what we usually do is kind of ask each other how our week has been. So, we would love for you to participate.
Would love to.
Dave?
Well, my week has been terrible. As you can probably hear from my voice, I'm like an octave down, lower than normal. Actually, this happens to me once a year, and I always want to just capture the sound of my voice like Ariel from The Little Mermaid.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. Maybe not. But my question for you guys is, like, I'm sick, right? I'm not like dangerously sick. I don't have the flu. I have the sniffles.
You feel bad.
I don't feel great. But I'm pretty much going about my normal life, and I don't know. Like, at what point is it inappropriate to, like, should I be here tonight? Or are you guys like, why did he come? He's sick.
You know who could probably tell you?
The male nurse.
James
that
Terrell,
we have with us.
Our first official ever podcast guest.
I called him a male nurse and I saw him cringe.
No, that's pretty much
That was a
it.
good.
James, what is your title? What do you do for a living?
I am a critical care physician assistant, not to be confused with physician's assistant. There's no S.
Oh.
People love saying physician's assistant. It's not that. It's physician assistant. That's what I do. Piedmont Hospital.
Physician assistant doesn't sound right, but I'm going to trust
It doesn't, but it
because
is.
everybody says physician's assistant.
Yeah.
I don't mind that you're here because I get sick like once a year.
All right. Well, you're better
Would it
than
be
everybody.
fair, though, to say you're basically a doctor?
No, that's going to make doctors mad for sure.
There's no doctors here.
Oh,
so.
then yes.
I went to school long enough to be a doctor, but I'm not a doctor.
Same.
Anyway, yeah. So
I guess I technically did too. Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
bunch of overachievers around this table.
And that's really what it kind of, being a doctor is going to school long enough to be a doctor. And if you've done it, then whatever.
Also, going to class and passing your classes is part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's the part I didn't get. Yeah.
See,
not a lot of scholars on this side of the table.
It's a round
I
table,
wouldn't
so
call myself a scholar either. So
anyway, I don't feel good, but I'm here. What's up?
Yeah, so I had this is kind of medical related. I mean, it is absolutely medical related. So I work in an office building in Atlanta, and came in on Monday morning, sat down at my desk, did my usual thing, drank my coffee, and I hear a little commotion about 60 feet away, a few cube rows over. Then don't think anything of it. And then I see a sales rep run past my desk, which people don't run in offices. So that was very odd. And he runs in to the office that I sit near, says something unintelligible. The manager comes out and says, okay, I'll get facilities on the phone so that we can go through our security protocol.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh, game on. So I have a little pocket knife that I keep on me, near me. I grabbed that because I thought we were about to get some. Like, seriously, like for 15 seconds, I thought we had an active shooters type situation. So it was scary for 15 seconds.
So you went into run, hide, fight real quick?
Yeah. And I went out, I guess. I was going to go look for something. Anyway, I see a bunch of people milling around at the end of a cube. I see some people like turning their head away and like shaking their head. And so I'm like, okay, we got some medical something going on. A girl yells, does anyone know CPR? Whoa. And my first thought is, we should all know CPR. So let's all get better at that. Yeah, because we got 30 people standing around. Nobody's saying, hey, I've got that under control. So that's a problem. So anyway, I immediately think we have a defibrillator. Defibrillator. Take out the R. Defibrillator.
Yeah.
In the break room. I run and grab that. I come back, power it on.
Man, Johnny on the spot.
And don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like running and like the crowd parts. And
where's your pocket knife at this point?
Yeah, it's in my pocket because I don't want to be flashing that around. Right.
Well, you had determined it wasn't an active shooter at this point, right?
Correct. Okay. Yes. And so I go down the cube row, and the guy there's a young man in his late 20s, I would guess, laid on his back, head in the aisle, feet in his cubicle. There's two people over him talking to him, and I kind of kneel down next to him, and he is ghost white. His eyes are wide open. Whoa. He is not moving. His eyes look like glass, like just brown glass marbles, wide open, and we couldn't see we couldn't tell if he was breathing or not. He was just very super still. And so there was a young lady there, and she's leaned down next to him. She's saying he's still barely breathing. And
did no one slap him?
Yeah. They're patting him on the face. There was this old guy there, who I think had a heart attack himself. And he's like he was like in a movie. He's like, hey man, I went through this my own self, and I'm not going to let you do this now. And like, he's like very dramatic.
Stay away from the light.
But he was doing the thing of like, he was active in his face trying to get him to wake up. So that was a good thing. And anyway, so another guy's on the phone with 911, and this is, I got there 3 or 4 minutes in, and he's been down a long time, and he's young. And so
what time of day is this? You said the morning?
This is first thing in the morning. Ooh. It's like 8:30 a.m. And I've been around people who passed out before, and they come right back for the most part. And if they shake it off, whatever, he's just down on the ground.
Should we all guess before you give us the finale what was wrong with him?
Well, I was going to say dead or alive.
He knows.
Oh, Dave, you already know.
Yeah, I already know.
I'm gonna say it was diabetic.
Ooh,
okay,
that's a good one.
Not a bad guess.
Blood sugar.
So,
James, come on.
Honestly, my first thought is this guy diabetic? So wonderful job.
Hey,
even though I already know, I want to guess.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, okay. So I forget where I am in the story, but
He's not coming back.
It's on. We've ripped the package open, taken the pads out. It talks you through what to do.
Wow.
The guy on the phone with 911 keeps saying, as long as he's breathing, don't hit him with it. And so,
Clear.
And I'm like, well, I'm not itching to do this, so I'll just keep it to myself for now. But 911 said, go ahead and cut his shirt off. He had this real nice, like 3/4 zip.
Doesn't matter.
Ralph Lauren.
Can't wear it when you're dead.
We used some office scissors straight up. Took
you didn't use your knife?
No, straight up took his shirt off. Super fit dude. I was proud of him because I was like, man, I would be embarrassed if that was me. So yeah, literally, I mean, we're just trying to hear him breathing. It's dead weird quiet. And then finally he starts getting some heaving breaths, and the color comes back, and Then he's coming to, and he's embarrassed, and we're like,
Because
"You
he's
have
shirtless.
shirtless in
At
his
work.
office." Yeah. So anyway, then we had to talk him down, like stay down. Like paramedics are in the on the ground floor; they're on their way up. The company officials that were there were like, paramedics have to take you out at this point, like if we've gone through all this. And so anyway, luckily we didn't have to hit him with the defibrillator, but that was an exciting morning. Turns out, actually, I don't know the whole story, and don't know who's listening. I'm not going to get into super personal details, but the initial guess was that he works out regularly, why he's so fit. There was breakfast on his desk, had not been eaten yet. So we're thinking some kind of blood sugar issue likely. So, yeah. But he was gone. He was down a long time.
That's quite a reaction.
But that doesn't happen to a normal person, right?
Right. No. So we have something we call Occam's razor. That usually the most simple explanation is the most likely. Mm-hmm. So someone that's
I use that on car work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That can apply to a lot of things about life. But a young guy passes out on the floor and he's diabetic. Was he diabetic?
Don't know. Unconfirmed.
He was diabetic.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we get him on the phone?
Either
Somebody
that
call him up.
or he had just been doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Okay.
As another guess.
Yeah, that was kind of my first thought was this dude is straight up doing meth.
Unconfirmed. Nothing has been
Does
confirmed.
meth make you pass out on the floor?
He's back.
From what I've heard, okay.
He's
I
back at
wouldn't know.
work. Back at work. Good to see him. So
Well,
he's
that's
back,
good.
But yeah.
Still kicking.
Yeah, it was an exciting.
Well, good job,
exciting
Josh.
start
It
to the
sounds like
week.
Johnny on the spot with the.
Yeah, it was interesting. Never used one of those before. I knew they walked you through it, so I wasn't like scared to grab it or anything. And I'm like, I'm kind of smart, I think, so I could probably listen to it. But yeah, the crowd parted. In my mind, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but here we go. Like, I'm going in.
Which, to be honest, it takes like a certain amount of like being able to have mental calm to be able to think I should go look for a defibrillator right now, and to think I need the shocky thing and to know where it is.
Yeah, what's
go
funny,
get it and like have the cool to do that.
What's the shorthand for the
defib?
defib? Is that it?
Yeah, we call it the
I'm
crash
not a
cart,
doctor.
or we say get the pads on, and so that's what we'll do. We'll drag this big red cart into the room that has all these drugs. It's like our little life-saving cart, and we get the pads on.
Yeah, I weirdly pay attention to that thing almost every time I go in the break room. I just see it.
Well, 'cause you're like, wow.
No, yeah,
Look
I'm
at
like,
that.
that's there. And then, yeah, it's very telling. Like, you kind of see everyone's behavior in situations like that. And I've been in a bunch. I've come up on some horrible car accidents and gone in just because that's all I knew what to do.
Next time you go in for your yearly review,
that's a
they're going to
great
be
idea.
like, we did notice, Josh, how you just stepped up.
Yeah, you got to bring it up. If they don't say
I'm going to
anything,
bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Yeah, some people, just run around in circles, not doing anything, and some people go into action. And, but everybody played a good role. It was a very nicely orchestrated. Everybody had a 911 guy, had talking to you guy, trying to wake you back up guy. We got the girl like listening for breaths. We got cut off the shirt guy, and then we got defibrillator guy.
Yeah, I would have been the guy who just acts like nothing is going on and still just sitting there at his desk.
Everyone needs that guy during a
hey, I'm keeping the
cardiac
company
Someone's gotta
going.
keep the company afloat. during
That's
this
right. I'm
crisis.
staying productive. Okay, and
Every cardiac arrest in a hospital has like 8 people just standing there leaning against the wall. What's going on in there?
It's like the government digging a hole. You got like the 8 guys leaning on the
Yeah.
shovel.
saw it today. Yeah.
Still in a hospital too. Yeah.
Nice.
Alrighty. Well, my week was boring, so I'm not even going to comment.
Oh, yeah.
But
We filled it
Hey, Tim's here.
yeah, right. But we have James on as our first official guest because
What an honor.
he just bought a new house. But we did want to get to know James just a little bit. So he has some very interesting things, including going to Iraq. Right.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So
yeah.
James went to Iraq with two separate trips, right?
3 separate trips.
Three separate
Yeah.
trips. So not military related. This was humanitarian aid with a Christian ministry.
Yeah.
And so he was doing medical relief work with the Kurdish people. So I wanted him to talk maybe briefly about that because I think it's really cool. And then talk about your PA experience. And then we're going to jump into talking about the new house that you just bought.
Okay.
But take it away.
Cool. All right. Well, I've been a physician assistant for a little over 3 years now. I work in the ICU, so I do a lot of critical care It's a lot of life and death, and I love it. I love the people I work with. I love the work that I do because I like being kind of like on the front lines of keeping people alive. And so because of my work, I've been able to travel a lot. Actually started when I was just a kid and traveling all over the world. And then I started using medicine. So I went to learn how to do my OBGYN rotation in Uganda because no one wants to let me.
About that.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
No one wanted to let me learn how to deliver babies in America, but they're all about it over there.
I'm going to go find them.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, sure. Yeah. You have a white coat? Come on in and just catch it. And I've been able to go to Iraq and Sierra Leone, living on a hospital ship. And so Iraq was the most recent, and that was when ISIS was kind of ravaging northern Iraq and Syria. And so we were working with Kurdish refugees and developing programs. There's a lot of NGOs or non-governmental organizations out there. And so we were one of many and trying to develop a program just to help people out there, and it was incredible and a really, really good experience.
And you got to shoot AK-47s.
I got to shoot AK-47s. Right? They have 50 cals mounted on back of pickup trucks.
Sweet.
And
so
do
you go like with a stethoscope and an AK? Like
yeah.
Hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah, it's like a defibrillator and a pocket knife.
There you go.
For an active shooter.
Yes.
Yeah. It's both. It translates over there. Yeah.
So one question kind of round this out. Was the craziest thing, I don't know if I told you I was going to ask you this before, but craziest hospital story, I mean, I guess it could be anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. If you got something
they got to be crazier in Iraq, right? But
well, yeah. I mean, it's people always ask me this question, and they never really want to know the answer because it's like you tell someone the room's just silent, like, and then they died. Now they're dead, and they're just like, "Oh man, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it happens every day," but like. All right, so I'll try to be a little more brief. And you guys may have heard this story. It's like my crowd pleaser story.
My kids do listen to this.
Okay, so that's another that cuts out most of the stories. Okay. This is actually before I worked in the intensive care unit. I was working after I graduated college in an emergency room, and I was working as a tech in this 26-year-old guy walks in. His friends are kind of bringing him in. He's slumped over their arms, and they're like, "Hey, we need to get this guy in the emergency room. He's been throwing up all night. We were drinking. Now he's throwing up, and he's got a fever. He's swinging at things that aren't there. We're really worried about him." So we check him in. We get his vital signs. He's got like 101-degree fever, which, nothing to write home about. But he's sweaty. His heart's racing. And I'm not very well versed in medicine at this point. I'm a tech. I was an EMT. So I'm just fascinated by everything that's happening. I'm like, this guy's really sick. Because 90% of the people that come in an ER, you're like, you shouldn't be here. You're bored.
Right.
Or you want a food tray or something. That's not true. I'm just kidding. But it can be frustrating. Anyway, so this guy's really sick. And we take him to the back. We're doing all these blood draws on him, getting these labs, and because we don't know. He's got a fever. He's been throwing up. Is it something like a gastroenteritis? Is it, they're like, yeah, he's been hallucinating. I'm like, why is this 26-year-old hallucinating? So obviously I'm not in the diagnostic part of this, but I'm just kind of walking by the room, like helping them start IVs and draw blood. And about an hour into it, I walk by his room. And this guy's standing up. He's ripped his IV out.
Oh boy.
So he's sweating. There's blood coming down his arm, and he just looks wide-eyed, crazy, hallucinating. And I'm like, hey man, are you all right?
I'm James.
He was talking like an hour ago. I'm like, hey, can you sit down on the bed? And he's just like, ugh. And I'm like, okay, hey, I need you to sit down on the bed. And he's like 6'3". He's a big dude. And so I call a couple other people. I work with all women that are in like their mid-40s who I'm like, I need help in here. So they call security.
Strong arm.
Yeah, someone help me because anyway, so I got these ladies coming in to help out, but it takes 6 of us, including this big old security guard. We hold this dude down. We give him like Geodon, Haldol, Ativan, like all these like bombs to try to get this guy down.
Like horse tranquilizer.
Yeah, I mean and this guy is so strong.
I'm going back to meth. I'm already calling meth.
Yeah. Well, you should see someone on bath salts. That's crazy. But you shouldn't. The point is, so we get this guy down. We take his temperature. It's 104 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. So this guy went from 101 to 104, and he's sweating. His heart rate is in like the 160s. Normal heart rate is like a 60 to 90. So just resting in bed, heart rate 160s. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And the emergency doctor goes, man, I think this guy has meningitis. I'm like, that sounds contagious. I don't have gloves on. And so they're like, we need to get a lumbar puncture, which is where you stick this big needle into the spine, you draw the fluid out, you see if it's actually infected or not. And this guy, he was like, not a great ER physician, tries, keeps on missing it. So we're like, we have to take him to the x-ray to do but by fluoro, which is we use an x-ray to guide it right into the spinal cord. And so it's me, this very large middle-aged woman, and we take him on a stretcher to this area, and it's like this 70-year-old radiologist who's doing this procedure. We roll him onto the bed to do the fluoroscopy, and the guy hits it. He gets the spinal cord, and he hits the spinal cord, and all of a sudden, this white milky fluid, which just flies out the top of this tube, and I'm like, that doesn't look like
not normal.
He goes, oh my gosh, this guy has bacterial meningitis. We should be wearing masks, like hats, gloves.
Did you run? I would have run.
But as soon as he hits the spinal cord, this guy stops breathing. And he goes, oh my gosh, he's not breathing. And he's face down. Okay, he's face down on the table. It's me, this lady, and this 7-year-old guy. We're like, oh my gosh. And so we're like, get him back on the stretcher. We need to get him back to the ER. And so we like flip him back on there, and Pam is running she's pushing the bed. I'm running ahead of her, hitting the doors open. It's like a movie. It's like bump, bump, da da dum, dum, da da. And I'm like, he's not breathing. And so everyone rushes into the room. We have to do CPR on this guy. We get a pulse back on him, and he ends up in the ICU later because we have to put him on a ventilator. For sure, this guy has meningitis. We have him on like the strongest antibiotics you can put someone on. And so then earlier in the day, I had done a little sushi run for a couple employees. We had just had a new Publix open and Publix sushi. And so we're like, well, don't mind if I do. We just treat ourselves to some Publix sushi. Go get it, bring it back. And the guy, we transfer him to the intensive care unit. And he was like, wow, that was crazy. What a crazy day. I hope he's okay. Later that night, I wake up at like 3 a.m. And I'm not feeling so good. And I start throwing up. Oh, no. And I'm like, oh no. And I throw up. And
this was after you got the spinal fluid all over you?
Yeah. And so I throw up probably 4 times. Sorry about the visual, but I wake up at like 9 a.m. to a phone call. Bring, bring. Hello? Hey, James, how are you feeling? This is the ER calling. How are you feeling? I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible. I've been throwing up all night long. And she's like, oh, James, stop kidding around. Seriously, like, are you feeling okay? I'm like, no. Honestly, Angela, I've been throwing up all night long. She goes, James, I need you to be very serious with me right now because 4 other people who are dealing with that patient have been throwing up too.
Oh my gosh.
No.
He just died this morning. And I'm like, what? All of a sudden the whole world, like you hear like soft piano music playing. And I'm like, this is it.
Oh, yeah. Like, I would have died right there.
Like,
right then and there.
I'm like, she's like, you need to get to the hospital right now.
Wow.
And so I get to the hospital. The whole time I'm driving, I'm like, God, this is it. Like, man, this was a good life. Like, I'm just like in my own thoughts, like in a music video. So we get to the ER. They have us quarantined in this room. We're getting IVs. They're drawing blood. And then someone's like, man, yeah, you guys have been throwing up. I've been throwing up all this blah, blah, blah. And someone's just kind of quiet for a second. They're like, we all had sushi yesterday, didn't we?
Public sushi.
Like, yeah. Did you? Yeah. All 5 of us had Public sushi. And then we realized that we just got food poisoning. All of our labs came back negative, but it was a crazy.
How long were you guys in quarantine?
Like 4 hours.
Wow.
They just had us sitting there until all of our labs came back normal.
I would have died of a heart attack, and they would have been like, "It's not the sushi because this guy's dead."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, It was scary, but I survived the public sushi.
So that's not a normal day.
Never had it since then. Yeah, not a normal.
We're
day.
going to scratch them off as a possible sponsor, I guess, off this show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, that was a good story.
Thank you.
Okay, that was solid. That was great.
I feel like I'm emotionally drained just listening to it.
That was the abridged version too, but there you go.
Well, cool. Yeah, I'd love to listen to that. That was awesome. I never shy away from, if I have any friends that are doctors or whatever, I'm like, tell me your crazy story. So I actually really loved hearing that.
There's a class, I think, in med school on how to tell stories.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a TED Talk class.
Okay, so we're going to get into the topic at hand today. So
do
this is rounding out our New House, No House series. So if you guys remember the past 2 episodes, we talked about skills you should know, things you should know on a new house, how to shut off your water. Help me out here, guys. All the other things that we talked about.
Yeah. Gas shutoffs, smoke detectors,
We hit
air
them all.
filters. Yeah. All the basics on a new house.
Yeah, just all those basic things. When you just bought a new house and you don't know what in the world's going on, we covered that in our first 2 episodes of the series. But we really wanted to bring James on because he just bought a new house. What was it, 2 months ago?
December 17th.
Oh, December.
yeah,
Okay,
2.5 months.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. So, first question, tell us about your DIY experience or doing things yourself around the house prior to you buying a house. Because you were in an apartment, right? So your landlord was taking care of things. So, I don't know, scale of 1 to 10, how good were you?
Yeah, like under 4. I don't know if it's
Okay.
a 1, 2, or 3, but maybe a 3, just because I feel like that should be like just the bottom.
It's respectable for apartment life. I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I just never had to. Like, I can weed eat and mow the lawn, but I'd never ever had really done anything.
Right, because you call and you say, hey, your air conditioner's broken, and they come and fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Your toilet keeps on backing up because there's roots in the pipes, and you know it.
That sounds
Fix
like
it.
a real story. A true
Yeah.
story. Wow.
But I bought a 1978 CB750 motorcycle and gave it the old college try for
Do you
a while.
still have that?
I lost a lot of money on it. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about it.
We're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
But it broke down on the interstate like a couple times. So,
I came and towed you one time.
yep. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that gave you some hands-on.
Yeah, it was like,
Mechanical,
okay,
yeah.
like try to do something you've never done before. That was my intro into it. Yeah.
Nice. So
Very
what
cool.
what kind of so Tim keeps saying new house, but this isn't it's new to you. What
True,
condition is your house in?
It was built in 1981 or 1983, and it's a townhouse, an end unit, obviously.
Nice.
So
Primo.
it's
Not slumming.
the last time that I think anything had been updated in this house was probably 1993.
Okay.
Per the woman that was living there. So she had been living there for over 20 years and had not touched almost anything in the house. So there's still like green ivy painted on the wall, yellow
Ooh.
rooms.
Nice.
She had put some like very shiny red laminate and some tile down, but
James, it sounds beautiful.
yeah, it's really what dreams are made of. Yeah.
Nice. What was your biggest fear, you think, going into this situation when you thought about, oh my gosh, all this responsibility on me? What's my biggest fear about signing that contract?
I mean, really, that I was biting off way more than I could chew, because everyone tells you that home renovations are like, don't do it. It's way more trouble than it's worth. We couldn't wait for it to be done, and then finally we're never going to do it again. So I'm like, oh, this sounds fun. Let's try it.
It's traumatic for a
But-
lot of people.
Yeah.
And before you even put in the offer, you already had kind of a list of things in your head that you felt like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do this, this, and this. You didn't have like a real solid plan, but kind of give us a bulleted list of what you were thinking you were going to do.
I was very naive going into my home renovation. I was like, we're going to knock down a couple of these walls. I'm going to take up this tile, take up the laminate floor, lay down some flooring down here.
Easy peasy.
I'm going to paint it, maybe put it in a gas line, a couple new lighting fixtures should be great. Which was like like 12% of what we act like of the work.
Well, you're listing that off, and I've done work at your house, and you covered a lot of that.
Yeah. So the list turned in. Do you want the list of what it turned into?
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Yeah, give us a rundown.
2 load-bearing walls had to come down. Had to pull up all the flooring downstairs, pull up all the rug upstairs. I had to do all the drywalling. Well, I didn't personally do it, but I wanted to do drywall.
Good move.
Yeah,
Good move.
Yeah, it's
Smart.
You can man faithful listener over here and never do drywalling and painting. There's going to be new plumbing that had to be done, new electric wiring, because one of those load-bearing walls that came down was like the motherboard for all of downstairs. It's like, that's not going to be easy. So there was quite a bit of just random things that would pop up that turned into week-long sidetrack rabbit holes that you're not even expecting to do.
So you bought this house and you just straight got after it. Like, it sounds like, you pretty much gutted it. Were there any big surprises you missed? You mentioned like the motherboard and the wall. Was that like the biggest thing, or was there something that came up that you weren't expecting?
There was, because it's an older house, at least in terms of things that had been renovated. Everything was leaking for the most part. It was like there was a pinhole leak here. The toilet won't turn off. Every time I try to take a shower, there ends up with like a 7-foot puddle downstairs.
What have I done?
Yeah, even most recently, I tried to install the washer dryer, and all of a sudden it's just springing a leak. I'm like, what? What did this lady do before when she lived here?
Nothing.
Yeah, the sink wouldn't shut off. It was like, in the world?
There's a Tom Hanks movie called The Money Pit. If you haven't seen it, it's an 80s movie. It is a great movie because it's
and
exactly
I'm sure you had
story.
that feeling, like one thing after the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see dollar signs as the things cascade onto each other.
So
Or more learning opportunities. Yeah.
Okay, so our listeners are hearing you say that you were a 3 or a 4 on the DIY scale, okay? And then you're listing off these things that you did, like taking out load-bearing walls. To walk us through did you have to hire all this out?
So I have been heavily reliant on friends that have different experience in doing this. I don't think anyone that I had help me do these things was a professional, but they've all done it at some...
Wait.
Okay.
Now, Dave
yes.
is an actual professional engineer.
That is true. James, I didn't take offense to it, but Tim, I appreciate you sticking up for me, buddy.
So Dave used his mind. Anyone that used a tool.
I don't do actual. I
house.
tell people what to do.
Dave worked with his mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so to let our listeners in, I did help considerably on the load-bearing walls that we took out, but before we touched anything, we had Dave come over and look at it because Dave is a professional structural engineer.
Very handy when you're
and so he was able to tell us, hey, you need to use this size member to span this. What do you call that, Dave? I don't know. Throw out the
what do you call what?
The jargon.
So you guys were taking down a wall and you were creating an opening, right? And so I had you guys install a beam at the top of the opening to support the floor above and the roof above.
Okay, I thought you were going to throw out some like engineer jargon. Or
like I keep it dumb for you guys, all right? So.
The Greenwood gap.
Anyway, so Dave did all the calculations for us to let us know how big of a beam we had to put in. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of people that knew what they were doing because Dave was probably the most instrumental in being able to give us the confidence of what we were doing.
Aww.
And then because Tim had done it before, to an extent, not necessarily everything that we had, that we had to get into, but to an extent you had taken down load-bearing walls before, like your friend, was it Julian?
Right. My good friend from years ago.
Yeah.
So if listeners are just joining us on our, what was that, third episode?
It was the third episode.
Okay. I talked about my friend Julian. That's where the name You Can Man came from, because he showed me how to take out load-bearing walls and do all these things. And he would always say, what one man can do, you can do as well. So that's where I came up with the name You Can Man. So that's what James is referencing.
Tim Harmon is my Julian. He is my
There you
man.
go.
Yeah.
See, there you go. I'm
Yeah.
passing it on.
Yeah.
So part of our philosophy that we talked about on episode 3 was learning these skills so that we can then help others out. And so that's exactly what happened in the situation with James. And I was happy to do it. Now, would you say that you're comfortable tackling doing another load bearing wall, knowing what you know now?
If I have a structural engineer to give me the blessing of this is the beams, this is the size, the length to do it, it would probably take me a little bit longer, but I am much more confident that I would be able to do something like that now, because once you do it, it takes away the fear of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now yours, I feel that you're going to feel pretty confident on a lot of load bearing wall situations in the future should that arise, because what we did at James's townhouse, we basically were holding up that whole entire half of his house. Were we not, Dave? You think? Because we're taking out those 2 walls is essentially holding up that entire half of the house.
Yeah, we pretty much replaced a wall with a beam. We put a beam where a wall used to be. So certainly opened it up. That's obviously a pretty big project, but I think what Tim is getting at here is, James is a first time homeowner. But these are projects that you can do, especially if you have, good friends around you who know what they're doing. But even if it's not a load bearing wall, I think James rattled off a list of things like tile, flooring, painting, drywall that you can do. Like you can get out there and do these things.
Yeah, I follow your Instagram stories. You were using some heavy equipment. And when you say pull up a floor, that sounds easy. Explain a little bit what was involved in pulling up your floor.
The worst part about this whole thing, it was like 300 square feet of this tile that was placed very well prior with very good mortar. And I was like, yeah, so I'm gonna pull up this tile, get up the mortar, and then I'm gonna stain the concrete, and like that was gonna be a quick little thing. And so I have this
weekend.
I have this like hand scraper that I think I'm gonna get up this mortar with. And I was like probably an hour into it. I'm like, nope. So I hopped on YouTube and I'm like, how am I gonna get this up? So I find you have to get this jackhammer. And so I go to the nearest tool rental place and they give me this jackhammer that I have to be on my hands and knees for. And I'm trying to save money in this whole process because I think it'd be very impressive to rattle off some very low number and be like, wow, you did it for that cheap? And I'm like, yep, because I did it myself. So instead of $150 to have the stand-up jackhammer, I did the $50 where you're on your hands and knees for 300 square feet. And so I did
Well, you got I think if I remember right, I've seen the photo of it because I wasn't over there when you did that. I think you got an actual hammer drill that has the option of...
It's like an air chisel.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I think it gave me carpal tunnel.
That's $50 well spent.
Dude, okay, so once you do that, I'm thinking this is going to be the last step because this is going to chip away the mortar, sweep it up, and then you're on your way. Nope. So then I got this 5-inch angle grinder that I had to grind down everything that I didn't get up, which took me probably 14 hours of time itself. And the tile, man, that almost broke me. But that was the worst part, I think. The tile, the mortar from the tile, I had no idea what I was getting into.
But yeah, you had that resource that even if it's just YouTube, if you don't have good friends that are super handy, you can hop on YouTube, tons of stuff there. It's just making that decision to just go for it. Yeah. You spend 14 hours angle grinding the mortar off your slab, but now you've done it.
And you live and learn. Right now, you're going to get the stand-up job.
I'm going to pay $100 because I have a job, and I'm going to stand up and do it.
Yeah. So where would you say you are now? So you said coming out of an apartment into a home, you were 3 or 4. Where would you consider yourself today? Because you've done many different types of projects at your house, which are very impressive. So where would you put yourself right now?
I think in terms of confidence, I would put myself at a 6 or 7, which is better than a 3, right?
Double.
But there's other projects and saws that I've never even heard of and tools that I've never heard of. But it's I can figure it out because what one man can do, another man can do. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
okay, I can, like, my confidence level of I can watch YouTube videos and figure this thing out is way higher.
James, you are a you can man success story.
I mean,
Yeah.
for-
Look at this guy's
yeah.
shirt.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and you basically said it. It's just a situation of you not knowing what you don't know. You can just do the research and figure it out. You've got that confidence. I think that's the most important thing
Yeah.
before you're going to tackle something. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Even like a couple nights ago, I'm trying to install my washer dryer.
Yeah, I told you to YouTube it, right?
Springs a leak, and I FaceTime Tim, and he's sitting there reading in his little nook he just built, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I know what this is. This is the seal of that you can go to fix that for like 90 cents. You have to go get the part, or you can just replace the whole housing of it." And I'm like, okay. He's like, or you just YouTube it. So I got on YouTube, and they're like, yeah, you just have to tighten this nut on the top of it. And I was like, oh, give it a go. Tightened it. I've done like 4 loads of laundry. No problem.
Nice.
There you go.
So
Very good. And yeah, that's the confidence to go for it. That is your starting place. You don't have to be an expert. I've been doing house projects for a couple of decades, and I still get down that rabbit hole of like, I've just spent 14 hours doing what because I didn't foresee it. So everybody's learning all the time, even the best tradesmen out there.
Well, this has been great. I did want to talk about before we close this out. You did hire some contractors.
oh yeah.
And so I'm just going to leave that open ended and just what are your thoughts?
They're frustrating. It's hard to find one that you can trust. Hard to find one that isn't going to be like, yeah, man, listen, we try to get around this corner, but the only part they can do it is in New Mexico. They're going to have to drive it here because it's so heavy. I know I quoted you around 400, and not the good news is only going to be another 450 probably. But we can do it. But I've never seen anything like this before. I'm like, dude, if I hear that one more time, me and Tim literally, I was quoting what this guy was going to say as we drove up to my house. I walked in the door and the plumber said the exact concept. I'm like, I bet this guy's going to say it.
Yeah, because we were in the car and then you were like, I bet we're going to walk in and he's going to be like, well, and that's exactly what happened.
We tried, but it's just, we're not going to be able to get it done till probably Monday or Tuesday now. I'm like, oh, good, another week. Cool.
Yeah, so I think, and we're going to do multiple episodes on contractors.
Yes,
but
we will.
There's a lot to say. I'm all about spending money. I'm not all about not spending money. And pretty much everyone around this table, I feel like, generally feels the same way. But as I've done more projects and gotten older and a little bit wiser, there is a lot to say before you get what you're paying for. And that we'll just kind of leave it there as at the end of this contractor talk.
Yes. Well, James, thank you so much for talking us through all that. And James is actually going to do the segment for us. So we have a little bonus segment at the end after the break. We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by 1776 United. 1776 United is a patriotic and historically inspired lifestyle brand. They make the best patriotic shirts and apparel on the market today. I personally own many of their products, and if you want to don patriotic gear without looking gaudy, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and at 1776united.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. James, take it away.
So I have a list here of a few words that are very common medical either terms, diseases, or tools that you guys would use as simple words, but the medical community has decided, hey, let's make this as complicated as possible.
We want to sound smart.
And use the Latin so no one knows what we're talking about. So I'm going to start with a word. Now, this is a very common thing that almost everyone sees when they go to a doctor's office.
And we're gonna guess.
And I want you guys to guess
Okay.
what you think this tool is.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am so ready.
Word number 1. This is a tool in medicine. It's called a...
Can't even say it.
I got so nervous right there. It's a long word. It's called a sphygmomanometer. A sphygmomanometer.
I'm gonna let you guys go because I got it.
I'm not gonna
All right, I'll go.
take a stab at it, Josh.
I think it's something that goes down your throat. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay. I think it goes up your nose.
Oh,
I think it's nasal cavity something. I don't know. Dave, you're not even going to guess? Oh, you
I am
know
going to get. I am
his
okay.
body posture is so confident.
Well, it's. I'm less confident.
He's done
now.
this
We
before.
just shattered his.
Yeah, no, you shattered. No, I don't. So I was super confident because I was sitting in the doctor's office yesterday because again I'm sick, and I'm looking at the wall and I see this thing on the wall, and because when you go to the doctor, you're required to wait for like 48 minutes before the doc shows up,
Right.
or the PA.
You gotta finish our PlayStation.
So I look at the wall, I see this thing on the wall, and I swear that I remember reading that word, and it was like a measured blood pressure.
That's how you measure blood pressure.
What?
Blood pressure cuff. That's sphygmomanometer.
But they never use that one. They don't use the one on the wall.
So you can't.
Okay, but-
you can't do blood pressure in your throat.
No,
like I said?
actually, no.
okay.
Great question, but no.
Do you actually refer to it as that when you're at
No
work?
way.
When you're like, hey,
No way.
hand me that.
Yeah, I think judging on how I just tried to say it a minute ago, it's a no. Yeah.
All right, that was a good one. I like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
All right. Now this is one.
Wait, hang on. Who's winning? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh shoot!
How
Shoot!
dare
Shoot!
you.
Shoot!
Dave's
shoot,
winning.
shoot. You guys might all know this one, but this is a very common term. You may have thought this gentleman, this is what was happening at the beginning of the episode. But this word it's two words. It's a myocardial infarction.
Wait, this is another tool?
This is
No,
not a tool.
condition.
This is a condition that people you hear about it all the time. This person had a myocardial infarction.
This is a heart attack. I think.
Yeah,
it's when your heart goes
I'm gonna say
bankrupt.
either a heart attack or not a heart murmur, but what's when your heart like skips a beat?
Yeah, palpitation.
Palpitation, but I'm gonna go heart attack too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is heart related.
Myo, muscle.
And
Yeah. Myocardial infarction. So cardial, that's the heart. Myo is muscle, so the heart muscle, and then infarction just means tissue death.
Whoa,
So yeah, your heart
infarction.
dies.
that's not good, right?
No, you try to stay away from that. Yeah.
All right.
All right, that was an easy one. Okay, sure. Let's do this one. This may happen when you're younger, or if you get in a fight on the playground or something, but you get epistaxis.
Ooh, epistaxis.
Yeah.
When you lose your breath.
No.
Dang it. Like I thought, like when you get the wind knocked out of you or
When you see
something.
Bethany, yeah, you get
Yeah.
epistaxis.
Yes. Every time.
A fight on the playground.
Yeah, I feel like it has something to do with epi is like skin, so like a bruise. Or
I was
something.
thinking an abrasion, like you get a scrape.
Ooh,
Okay.
could be better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, none of you are correct. This is a bloody nose.
Ooh,
Yeah. Epistaxis. Get
Wow.
punched in the face, and now you have epistaxis. You got a bloody nose.
Okay.
I got to remember it.
Yeah.
The next time I get
Dermis is skin, by the way, not epi. Just.
Are you a I'm sorry. Where's the,
Well,
who's the PA?
That's good. No, that's
I
good.
solidly explained
There's-
why epi was skin. It is not.
Yeah. Well, nothing really in that word that I know of makes sense of why it's called epistaxis.
Okay, good.
So it's a good try. Now, this one, some men have it worse than others, usually in the summer, but it's called hyperhidrosis.
That's when you sweat too much.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
That's just a sweaty man.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
a sweaty dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have that in the winter.
I actually did. So I've been a wedding photographer for years, kind of moving away from that
the
now.
height of sweaty men in the summer.
Yes, but one of the grooms that I photographed, he actually had that actual medical condition.
Was he in all black? You got to wear all black.
No,
if
I
you
mean,
got
he was
that.
like, I literally,
Did he find love?
he did. I mean, I was like, I mean, there were so many photos where just sweat is just dripping
Really?
off of this guy. One of his groomsmen even commented about this, like during his groomsman speech or whatever at the, about how he
time.
sweat.
Inside
Anyway,
joke.
Yeah, thanks
sorry.
a lot, buddy.
Okay,
Perfect
sidetrack.
You got to be getting married in the winter though, if you're that
I
guy.
know, right?
for real.
How many more you want? I can go all day.
go. A couple
let's
more at
let's
least,
do
yeah.
2 more.
Two more? All right. This one, I'm just going to see if you know what it is, if you can break down the Latin. It's called
Okay.
exophthalmos.
I'm going to say it has something to do with the throat.
Okay.
Yeah, like the mouth or the throat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why,
I think
why
it's
the
when
throat?
The thalamus part. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
throwing
can't
some-
explain. It just came to me like
Okay.
a bolt of lightning.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it one more time. Exophthalmos.
Exophthalmos.
Yeah.
You know
that's
what
not
I think
helping.
it is? Is it just vomiting?
No.
No. Okay. Josh, you haven't even
Josh,
said anything.
go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Josh
I wanna
loves
say-
breaking down
I want to
words.
say this is way out for me. Some kind of brain injury or
Okay.
something.
Okay. What do you know what an ophthalmologist is?
Eye doctor.
It's an eye doctor. Exophthalmos is someone that has bug eyes.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
close to the throat.
Oh, so their
Yeah.
brain is swelling, right?
Not
Or no?
necessarily. It's usually people that have really hyperactive thyroids.
Oh, and
just
their
they're
eyes bug out.
And
Yes.
they're normal looking, but they look broke.
I thought that was a
like,
reaction to the medication that people take.
It can be.
Okay.
It can be, but
Okay.
exophthalmos is when they literally have bulging eyes.
You got
'cause-
bug eyes.
Yeah, you got bug eyes, bro.
Interesting.
Let's see. I'm gonna pick.
This is the last. This is the coup
Yeah,
de
you
grace.
gotta pick your best one there because
I think Dave's winning with one so far.
Yeah, there's a couple on here. I don't know. I don't know if I want to pick them. So this one, okay, this is something that commonly happens probably a few times a day for men and women, and this is when you have micturition at a few points during the day. You micturate, or you have micturition.
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 Mm-hmm.
You're not making this one up.
I am not making this one
Kind
up.
of sounds gross. Micturition.
Is this a sneeze? Is it a
Yeah,
sneeze?
I'm gonna run outside. I'm gonna go micturate real quick.
What? Mm-hmm. Run outside.
Well, I might jog or just walk fast.
Are you gonna go? Relieve yourself?
I am.
Hey,
I'm gonna go micturate real quick. Excuse me.
Micturate.
Excuse me from the table. Yes, it's UP.
Wow.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's a fancy way.
What
to
does
say
that have to
pee.
do with jogging?
Well, I was just gonna run outside.
Well, he's
real
got to
quick.
run
Oh,
outside.
oh,
and take
okay.
a-
I was
take
like,
Yeah,
a
that's
it's just kind
weird.
of like the way you say. I'm gonna run and pee real quick, but I'm gonna go run and
Gotcha.
micturate.
This is the way you say it.
I feel
Tim.
like that word should be circulating in our elementary schools. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like kids pick up on things like that. Like your epidermis is showing, and
Yeah.
that's a medical term that
Wait,
should be.
say,
Wait,
say it
kids
one more
CC
time.
talk.
Say it one more time.
Micturition.
Micturition.
Yeah, or micturate.
to
Yeah.
micturate.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
Or like mastication. That's
Yeah,
like
that
a
was another
funny
one I was going
thing.
to pick is, mastication.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
Yeah.
masticating my food.
Yeah.
Yeah, chewing.
Just chewing.
I'll just give a few more. Puritis is that's itching, and a couple other ones here. Cerumen impaction. That's when you got really your ears are full of wax and they're impacted and you can't hear
Yikes.
anything. Tinea curis. It's a jock itch.
Oh,
Yeah,
a good one.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and then ecchymosis. It's a bruise. There you go.
Sweet.
good stuff.
The end.
all right. I think we are all. We don't know anything about medicine
No, we don't.
over here. So, thank you, James, for
You're
providing some education.
welcome. Yeah,
All right.
scholar.
Well, everyone, thanks so much for listening and tuning in on these last 3 episodes on New House Know How. Hopefully, you guys that are in the market looking for a new house have got a really good idea of some of the things you need to know. And you've got a firsthand account here from James of his experience. And so we really hope that you've had some encouragement along the way and learned some things. As always, please take the time to subscribe to our show, and you